Hello friends, welcome to the another lecture on air pollution and solid waste management, and today we will see the topic control measures for industrial pollution. Okay, in the last lectures we have seen that the problems regarding just like greenhouse effect. I'll just take the recap of all the things before moving further. We have seen the greenhouse effect, then global warming and the effect of air pollution on the global warming. That is one of the main reasons. Then thickening of ozone layer, upper ozone layer, that the animals may suffer a lot. Later on we have seen the acid rains, and today we will see regarding the there are a lot of problems regarding air pollution. Today we will see the indoor air pollution also there. Today we will see the some filters. We'll see some filters just like settling chambers and cyclones and venturi scrubbers, fabric filters. So we have seen all these things before. Just like you can see on the screen that air pollution affects the man-made structures, historical monuments, and today we are about to see the industrial uh, uh, control of the air pollution to the industry and control measures for the industry. Okay, so basically what we can do, I'll take just to recap whatever we have seen in last lecture. What we can do, just like riding the bicycle is a good alternative as far as health is concerned, fitness is concerned. So riding bicycle for small distance, then promoting this bike, conveying your friends and family regarding this pollution. And we must check our cars, bikes regarding PUC, public transport that we have to use. That is all about the preventive measures. Okay, basic measures. Then we have to keep up to date our knowledge regarding environmental consciousness, and encouraging our parents to use carpools. We have to make social groups regarding pollution to stop and all the things, and we have to use and consume the natural energy in daytime. So switching off the lights, fan, heats, etc. when we leave the room. Okay, so these are the things we have seen to control measures. But uh, and we have concluded with the that we have only one earth, and we are not like that. We are not supposed to see our earth like that. So basic things now we will see regarding the air pollution control, and today we will mostly focusing on the industrial measures. So today we are about to see the filters such as settling chamber, cyclones, then venturi scrubbers, fabric filters. So okay, uh, the source control technology. Okay, so air quality management sets the tool to control air pollutant emissions. Control measurements describe the equipment, process or action used to reduce the air pollution. So there are certain equipment and filter that we are about to see. Okay, then extent of pollution reduction varies among technologies and measures. The selection of control techniques depends upon the environmental, engineering, economic factors and pollutant types. So there are some sources and the controls over there that are depend upon a lot of things. So we'll see one by one. Now first one will be the settling chambers. Okay, you can see in the image that the dirty gas enters from here, and with the filters and dust hoppers it is releases from here. So there are the filters applicable here. So we'll see settling chambers use the force of gravity to remove solid particles. Here you can see the where the dirty gas is entering from this side, and the gravitational force it is using to remove the dust hoppers. The gas stream enters a chamber where the velocity of the gas is reduced. Large particles drop out of the gas and are recollected in the hoppers. You can see here the dust hoppers. You can see dust hoppers. All right. Because settling chambers are effective in removing only large particles, so the drawback is it cannot be removed as small particles, and they are used in conjunction with more efficient control devices. Okay, so this is something regarding the settling chambers where the dirty gas is entering from this side, removing from this side, and the small particles are not able to remove, but the large particles are settling down with the gravity and with the all mechanism you can see here. Okay, so this is all about. Now cyclones. Okay, cyclone collector. You can see the entire skeleton here of the cyclone collector. Now what the cyclone exactly is, the general principle of inertia separation is that the particulate laden gas is forced to change direction. As gas changes direction, the inertia of the particle causes them to continue in the original direction and be separated from the gas stream. All right, so we are forcing that the particular air to change the direction, and as gas changes the direction, the inertia of the particle causes them to continue in the same direction. and that's why that is the reason of separation from the gas stream. Okay, so you can see that clean gas exists from here, where they collected from this side, and dust hopper, just like we have seen, this is the clone. Okay, so we are forcing the air to change direction, but ultimately due to the inertia it is going to the same direction, and we are getting this dirty gas extent. So it is going in a dead direction only, like that. Okay, then the walls of the cyclone narrow towards the bottom of the unit, allowing the particles to be collected in the hopper. The cleaner air leaves the cyclone through the top of the chamber, flowing upward in spiral vortex, formed with a downward moving spiral. Cyclones are efficient in removing large particles but are not as efficient with the smaller particles. For this reason, they are used with the particular control device. So one more drawback is there, it is efficient to remove the large particles, just like we have seen the settling chamber. It is also good in removing the big particles. It is not efficient enough to remove the small particles. Hence, this is the where this gas exists here. You can see that the collected dust exists here, and we are allowing to go in the direction, and due to the continuous force applying here, the gas tends, we are allowing to change direction, but due to the inertial force the gas is continuously flowing to this direction only, and from there we can collect the dirty gas. So this way. So then Venturi scrubbers. Venturi scrubbers used a liquid stream to remove solid particles. In the Venturi scrubber, gas laden with a particular matter passes through a short tube with flattened ends and constructed middle. This construction causes the gas stream to speed up when the pressure is increased. So Venturi scrubbers, now you can see that the Venturi scrubbers uses a liquid stream to remove solid particles. So this is kind of thing where liquid is used to remove the solid particles, and in the Venturi scrubber, gas laden with the particulate matter passes through a short tube with flattened ends and constructed middle. Okay, you can see that this is the exit scrubber of the clean gas, where the gas entered scrubber, and you can see the liquid portion here. It is used to separate the solid particles, where the gas velocity and turbulence increases at that portion. Then subscribing liquid is atomized, and droplets particles interaction is increased here. So the constriction causes the gas stream is to speed up when the pressure is increased. So while in a high pressure it is very useful to remove the particles, but the liquid stream is used to remove solid particles in the Venturi scrubbers. Now in the continuation of Venturi scrubber, the difference in velocity and pressure resulting from the constriction causes the particles and water to mix and combine. So the difference which is obtained from velocity and pressure, that ultimately results from the constriction causes and particles and water to mix the combine. The reduced velocity at the expanded section of the throat allows the droplets of water containing the particles to drop out the gas stream. Venturi scrubbers are effective in removing small particles with removal efficiencies up to 99%. It means it is very efficient to remove small. One drawback of the device is it is production of the wastewater. Basically, whatever the wastewater is available, it is the production. It produces a lot of wastewater during the process. As we have just seen that it requires the liquid to remove the particles. Hence, a lot of wastewater is produced. Then fabric filters. In the fabric filters or bag house, that removes dust from a gas stream by passing the stream through a porous fabric. Porous means somewhere transparent. You can pass on the water, that is porous. The fabric filter is efficient at removing the fine particles and can exceed efficiencies of 99% in most applications. So you can see here where the clean gas exists here, but the entry from the dirty gas enters here, and there is a porous material. So that the filter bags are attached here. There are layers to the filter bags, and with this the process take place, and it is best to remove the small particles, where settling chambers and cyclones are not good at, but the Venturi scrubbers and fabric filters are very good at removing the small particles. So this is the bag house component, and the filter bags are here. You can see the filter bag. Then this is the way, in this direction the entry gas enters. There are hoppers, this is discharge, and this way the clean gas exists, and they are passing through the porous filter bags. The selection of fiber material and fabric construction is important to bag house performance. The filter material from which the fabric is made must have adequate strength characteristic that the maximum gas temperature expected and adequate chemical compatibility with both the gas and the collector. Absolutely. See, basically whatever material we are selecting for the filter, that must have strength, because gas is flowing in a some pressure, so it may not fail. It may possible that it will fail while filtering in the process of filtration. It may fail, so it must have a maximum gas temperature expected and adequate chemical compatibility with both the gas and the collected dust. One disadvantage of the fabric filter is that high temperature gases often have to be cooled before contracting in the. Absolutely. Hence we are focusing on the materials. Whatever material we are using for filter, it must have adequate strength to bear the pressure and temperature of the gases. And then the drawback is high temperature that it cannot bear, so we have to cool first, and we have to ensure the cooling part, and then we have to insert in the chamber, otherwise it will not bear and it may fail. Now, electrostatic precipitators. An ESP is a particle control device that use electrical force to move the particle but out of flowing gas stream and control the plates into the plate controllers. Okay, an ESP, electrostatic precipitators. ESP place electrical charges on the particles, causing them to be attracted to oppositely charged metal plates located in the precipitator. Okay, we'll first go with the theory and then we'll focus on the diagram part. The particles are removed from the plates by wrapping and collecting in a hopper located below the unit. Then the normal efficiencies for ESPs are highly variable. However, for very small particles alone, the removal efficiency is about 99%. Almost. Electrostatic participators are not only used in utility applications but also their industries for other exhaust gas particles such as cement dust, pulp paper, salt cake and lime dust, the petrochemical, sulfuric acid and steel dust, just like dust, fumes, etc. Okay, so we can see that this is the this way the clean gas exists, and the gas enter dry gas enters from here, and this process is entire the collection electrode here, and by this the hooper is attached below that, so ground collecting plates with positive charge, and this way the negative electrodes connected to electrical power source and negatively charged wire, so they place electrical charge on the particles, causing them to be attracted to positively charged metal plates located in the precipitators, and electric forces to move the particles out of that flowing gas stream and into the collector plates. So this is the working principle of electrostatic precipitators. Okay, and it is also efficient as Venturi scrubbers and fabric filters. Now we will see the control of gaseous pollution from stationary sources. The most common method for controlling gaseous pollution is the addition of add-on control devices to recover or destroy a pollutant. There are 4 commonly used control technologies for gaseous pollution. First one is absorption, adsorption, condensation and incineration or combustion that we say. There are 4 stages, there are 4 methods use control techniques for gaseous pollution. So absorption, the word basically gives the meaning of absorbing the things, where you can absorber is there, liquid in liquid out, you can see gas in gas out, so absorbance skipping column is there. So the removal of one or more selected components from the gas mixture by absorption is probably the most important operation in the control of gaseous pollutant emission. It's a very important task. Absorption is a process in which gas pollutant is dissolved in a liquid, where liquid is used to dissolve in the process. The water is the most commonly used absorbent liquid. Then as the gas stream passes, though the liquid absorbs the gas in much the same way that sugar is absorbed in the glass water when stirred, just like that. So absorption is the phenomenon of absorbing the things wherein the gaseous pollutant is dissolved in a liquid, where water is most commonly used. Water is used as the most commonly that absorbed liquid, and it is as good as absorbing the sugar from the water. The example is quoted here. So that is the typical packed column diagram, where liquid in and liquid out and gas in. So here are the we need to, the gas is inserted from here and liquid is added, their mixture, it is just like the sugar is absorbing they get absorbed in the water when stirred, just like that. So it's the first phenomena that we have seen, absorption. In the continuation, we can see absorbers are often referred to the scrubbers, and there are various types of absorption equipments. The principal types of gas absorption equipment include spray towers, packed columns, spray chambers, and Venturi scrubbers. In general, absorption can achieve remove efficiencies greater than 95%. One potential problem with absorption is the generation of wastewater, which converts an air pollution problem to a water pollution problem. That is a very serious concern because we are producing a lot of wastewater from here. This is a serious concern in this process. Then adsorption. See, when a gas or a vapor is brought into contact with the solid part, it is taken up by a solid. The molecules that disappear from the gas either enters the inside of the solid or remain on the outside attached to the surface. The former phenomena is termed absorption or dissolution, and the latter adsorption. It's a second step. Okay, second step. The most common industrial absorbents are activated carbon, silica gel, and alumina because they have enormous surface areas per unit weight. Activated carbon is the universal standards for purification and removal of trace organic contaminants from liquid and vapor streams. You can see that a regeneration of carbon absorption system and non-generative carbon absorption system. So you can see that the contaminated of gas where carbon bed is there and carbon bed. So we can, and you can see difference here. Then a clean gas, then a consolidated out carbon bed. Okay, then carbon adsorption system are either regenerative or non-regenerative. So we are about to see both the things. In regenerative system usually contains more than one carbon bed. Here you can see there is only one carbon bed. Here there are two carbon beds. As one bed actively removes pollutants, another bed is being used for regeneration purpose. But in this case, it is non-regenerative. There is no another carbon bed. In non-generative system, we have thinner beds of activated carbon. In a non-generative absorber, the spent carbon is disposed of when it becomes desaturated with the pollutants. So we have seen that this is an example of generated carbons adsorption system, and this is the example of non-generative carbon where the bed is one, where there are two beds. Now next step is the next method is condensation. See, condensation is the process of converting a gas or vapor to liquid. It's a phenomenon of converting gas to liquid. Any gas can be reduced to liquid by lowering its temperature and or increasing the pressure. By increasing the pressure or lowering down the temperature, you can convert the gas or vapor to liquid. Then condensers are typically used as a pretreatment devices. They can be used ahead of absorbers and incinerators to reduce the total gas volume to be treated by more expensive control equipments. Condensers are used for pollution control and contact condenser and surface condenser. So there are types of condenser: contact condenser, surface condenser are used as a pollution control devices. So it's a phenomenon of converting the gas by reducing temperature to liquid. That is condenser. So you can see that in contact condenser, the gas becomes into contact with the cold liquid. You can see there water inlets are there and a gas outlet. So it is in the touch with the, or we can say it is in contact with the cold liquid. You can see, or in the surface condenser, the gas contracts to be cool surface in which cool liquid or gas is circulated, such as the outside of the tube. Okay, so you can see the gas inlet is there, and then it is to be flow in this direction where the non condensable gas is removed from here, and this is the outlet where the cooling medium is attached here, and the cooling medium inlet is there, then the cooling medium outlet. So this is inlet and outlet where the gas is in contact with the cool air. So this is the phenomenon. In it, as far as efficiency of the condenser is concerned, it varies from 50% to 95%, and depending upon the design and the application. So this is all about the contact condenser and surface condenser. Now last, incineration. Incineration, also known as combustion, is also used to control the emissions of organic components from process industries. This control techniques refers to the rapid oxidation of the substances through the combination of oxygen with the combustible material in the presence of heat. When combustion is completed, the gases stream is converted to carbon dioxide and water vapors. Equipments used to control waste gases by combustion can be divided into three categories: direct combustion or flaring, thermal incineration, and catalyst catalytic incineration. In catalytic incineration that we'll see further, there are three types basically: direct, thermal and catalytic. Incineration, that is also known as combustion, is mostly used to control. Okay, the technique refers to the rapid oxidation of substance through the combination of oxygen with the combustible material in the presence of heat. It is when it is completed, the gas is now converted to carbon dioxide and water vapors. So it is all about the heat. So direct combustion. Direct combustor is a device in which air and all the combustible waste gases react at the burner, where completed combustion must occur instantly since there is no residence chamber. A flare can be used to control almost any emission stream containing volatile organic compounds. Studies conducted by EPA have shown that the destruction efficiency of a flare is about 98%. So this is direct combustion. In the direct combustion, we have seen that the device which in which the air and all the combustible waste gases react with the burner. Okay, and in thermal incineration, the combustible waste gases pass over or around a burner flame into the residence chamber where oxidation of the waste gas is completed. Okay, then thermal incinerators can destroy gaseous pollutant at efficiencies of greater than 99% when operated correctly. Now you can see in the diagram where the thermal incinerator gases case, the combustion chamber is there, then gas preheater and secondary engine recovered. So emission sources diluted air is entering with the gas preheater, and then the combustion chamber is get activated here, and as a result this track you can see that where the thermal incinerators can destroy the gases up to 99%. This is the phenomena used for the thermal incinerator and general case, in the general case. Now catalytic incinerators are very similar to thermal incinerators. The main difference is that after passing through the flame area, the gases pass over the catalyst bed. Okay, and the catalyst promotes oxidation at lower temperature, thereby reducing fuel cost. Destruction efficiencies greater than 95% are possible. So efficiency greater than 95%, it is possible because of the catalyst promoters oxidation at low temperature. You can see that it is very similar to the thermal incinerators. The main difference is that after passing through the flame area, the gases pass over catalyst bed. Okay, it is as similar as that thermal incinerators where the catalyst chamber is there. You can see that the catalyst chamber is there. So the after passing through the flame area, the gases pass over the catalyst bed. So thank you very much students for the attention, and I would like to take the review of the entire class. What today we have seen, the basic things today we have seen is that the industrial measures and some control measures in the industry for the absorption or to reduce down the air pollution, that we have seen the settling chamber, then cyclones, then venturi scrubbers, then fabric filters, and we can see that the fabric and venturi scrubbers are very much efficient to remove the small particles, where settling chambers and cyclones are not efficient to remove the small particles, where they are the only large particles can be removed. Then later on we have seen the process of absorption, adsorption, then condensation and incineration, dust. Okay, so this is all about the lecture. Thank you very much, and we will continue with the another topics, and hope you have gone through the image that the very beautiful earth planet we are living on, and we have to ultimately take care of the earth. So thank you very much students.